Oh, death, whoa, death, won't you spare me until another year? All right, here it is, the next project, 1968 Ford Galaxie XL. Not bad, no floor, no air in the tires, probably no frame, but we'll get there. It might end up being a one-ton truck before we're done, but it'll be something. First things first, I'm going to see if I can air these tires up and get it up out of the mud. Well, good news and bad news. The good news is both tires on this side hold air. I got 40 pounds in them. The last time this thing was used, I think, was 1998. So I'm just wondering, since that's happened, how is it going to bite me in the ass? Well, good news and bad news. The good news is I got the back axle to move a little bit. The bad news is I got the front axle to move a little bit the opposite way. Oops. And 3 out of 4 tires hold air for the most part. And I do believe I have pulled the back end of the frame relative to the rest of the car. Of course, this here shouldn't probably be at that angle either. And this one looks like it's almost the way it's supposed to be. It did come part way out of the holes. The good news is this trusty Badland thingamajig, a yanking rope, kinetic rope, does do exactly the job. I was beating on it full force with this old Dodge D100, and she just kind of went boing and moved whatever part of the car it was attached to. Unfortunately, the part of the car it wasn't attached to isn't attached to the car anymore. Oops. But we'll get it. That's why God made 3/4 or 1-ton truck frames like I've got down in Wynona. Was the last video. Not a bad looking car though, other than the fact that there's no bottom of it.
Base on them doohickeys down there.
Still got the old style vent windows. Haven't seen under the hood yet. It's allegedly ran when they parked it. The floors are in good shape. Look at all that weight reduction there. You can see right through it. Transparent aluminum or something. Uh-oh. I wonder what did that. Probably me. Whoops. Oh well, yeah, we'll get it. Ah, beer can. Alright, cool. Too bad it's not full. This has got some definite fixable vibes to it though. Well, let's see what kind of trouble I can get into with this now. Well, here we are back to Galaxie again. I think I finished tearing the frame in half. So the passenger side front wheel is uneven now, and the axle's crooked in the back, which is a problem. But I'm going to jack it up and see what I got to do to make this thing rotate far enough we can get the wrecker in here. The ground's hard, so it looks like we shouldn't be. I ain't going to say anything about how hard it's going to be. I ought to be able to get right underneath that front end and just put the jack in there, and I think there's frame left there. So, crank that up and stick some boards underneath the tire, and come back a little bit later with some air and a trailer and stick on there. Look at that horseshoe shifter. That's a cool looking thing. When I pulled the frame in half, it kind of pulled that out from under it too. I got to fix that. It'll be all right. Well, let's see how it goes. I shall report back in a bit. Of course, I didn't bring the good camera, so I can't record the whole thing, but I'll do what I can. Good news. It looks like we might have a solid chunk of frame up front here. I can get the jack under. A couple of bits and pieces there. There's an engine cradle. I can't quite reach it yet, but this piece of frame here I should be able to get into, and hopefully get the jack in there and pick up on her a little bit. Yeah, this ain't too hot, but oh, that's the frame. Oh shit. That's not good. Well, that explains part of my problem. Get these weeds out of the way. Oh great, got burrs in my hair. That's nice. Yeah. So I got my little scissor jack here because the hydraulic one's stuck underneath the back end of the car, and got my Hercules impact choocher. We're gonna try to impact chooch that little jack underneath here and see if we can't pick this up a little bit. Oh, nice. All right, let's move my hand out from under there. Whoops, hold on. Unzoom. Yeah, I don't like that noise. Let's get a little farther away from it. What to do? That is not going very well. Alright, I'm gonna need both hands. I'll pick back up with yins when I get both hands free again. Is that breaking the frame? Oh, I think the jack's just slipping out from where it is. Alright, we can deal with that. Yeah, I'm gonna need two hands here. I'll see yins in a bit. Good news and bad news. The bad news is the car support's completely rotted out, and the frame is laying partly on the ground and partly on the car. That rectangular piece that used to be there is the frame. That is that piece under the car. That's going to be why this front wheel stayed put when the rest of the car moved backwards. The good news is the engine cradle and the suspension is still good. So I've been jacking it up by that and blocking it up. So I should be able to block this stuff up. I should be able to pull this piece of the frame backwards, because you can see it pulled the bumper away from the body. So I should be able to pull it back and tack weld it together temporarily to tow it. And that should do it. She's coming up out of the dirt little by little. Wish I had some more jacks and some automated stuff, but we got what we got, so she'll have to do. She's been sitting here since 1980 something, so not going to be real super easy, but we'll get her. There's the control arm. Those aren't looking too bad. Even the one that's been sitting down in the dirt, those are, 1968 steel. So it's, ain't that garbage. They're made out of sheet metal. They're made out of nowadays. They're actually forged or cast or whatever. They're heavy duty shit. Same thing for the engine cradle. That thing it's good. Well, back to work. Okay, I can see light under the tire, which means we have jacked her up high enough to almost get out of the ditch. Yeah, I'm gonna jack her up a little more. You can see the extent of the jacking by the fact that my palms are here. Oops, that's a different kind. That's how deep the wheel is. The wheel is buried about to there. Oops, wrong finger. It was buried about to there. Yeah. Oh, you can kind of see where the frame fell out from under it. There it is. I have to figure out how to hitch that back up to the front. The front of the frame went sideways. There's a couple of solid pieces I can tie that back into. And now I can get into the back of it. Get these wheels up out of the ditch too, although I already pulled this one out of the ditch. Partly. Only the wheel came, not the whole car. Now the axle's at a diagonal. But you can tell by the bumper that the frame is at a diagonal. So if I pull that one piece of the frame up and the front piece of the frame back, it should line everything back up again. And it might line that shifter back up too. And the steering column got kind of mad at me and fell out too. I think that was part of what rolled, or what was supposed to roll and didn't. See, that one rolled out of the hole, but the one wheel where the frame was real bad stuck in. So that didn't work. I'm pretty sure it's all going to go anyway. There she be, the Galaxie. Oh, look, the front end's coming up out of the ground. Nice. I got a Ford and a Dodge, and the Dodge with Chevy parts, the Chevy with Dodge parts, and Ford with probably Dodge parts coming up pretty soon. Once I get the, I'm definitely going to need a frame for this thing because this frame is not going to live. The bumpers are still good, but everything in between them is no good. Whoops. Well, I mean, yeah, $600 car. Hell, the glass is probably worth that. It's got a 390 in it. I don't know if it's locked up or not, but he drove it here and parked it here 30 years ago. Yeah, I can see through. Oh, I can see the transmission. Nice. Wonder if the drive shaft came out of it. Yeah, can't see that yet. Whoa! Hi there. Let's do-to-majig call it ignition sticks. Ding. I guess it doesn't really matter because this thing it'll drive without them. But I don't know if that fits it or not. Ignition. In other words, a key. Keyage. That's interesting. I wonder if I can get in the trunk now. What kind of body supply? Ford Galaxie XL. And for all the extra rooted into the ground. Well, I wonder if that's just ignition. Whatever. Oh, now I got a key. Yeah, cool. Let's see if it fits in the door. You gotta jimmy the trunk. Yeah, don't turn anything, but well, we're getting closer. Ford family of fine motor cars. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Not very often you actually get a key. This is behind the junkyard fence. They're reclaiming this and turning it back into a house and such. So this car has to go. Not very often that you actually get a car out of the junkyard and it's got a keychain from the junkyard that the car is in. The junkyard guys used to drive this, I reckon, back in the 1980s. There, now you can kind of see how the wheel's coming up out of the dirt. I gotta stick some blockage underneath there. I got some blocks here. I'll probably shove a couple of them under. And let's see if we got anything else in the truck. Maybe. I'll have to look. I'll have to dig under all the crap. See, the nice thing about keeping your truck full of garbage is that nobody thinks there's anything good in there to steal. Usually. Uh-oh. Oh, my frame pulled, or my fender pulled forward when the frame pulled. Shoot. Well, we'll straighten her out. Worst case, we'll stick her on top of a truck frame. Make her a four-wheel drive. I was looking at Crown Vic frames, but they're all garbage. Them things rust worse than anything else does. Yeah, there you can clearly see the frame. Well, it's part of the ground now, but it used to be the frame. I'd probably patch her up to tow it, but beyond that, it's going to have to sit on something that works. And the dude that had this didn't want to rip the dash apart, so he just stuck a radio on top of the console. I think he double-sided taped it or velcroed it or something. That stuff's long since departed. Well, that makes my day. I just found a damn key. Neat. It was probably up above the visor, and then I jerked the car back and forth, and then it fell out. Yeah, weird. Oh well. Well, back to work. Yeah, one parting shot. We're done working for the night on the 68 Galaxie that I'm grave robbing. It's a 390 car. A little rough. The frame is not here anymore. But, yeah, you know. I'll put her on a four-wheel drive truck frame or a Crown Vic or something. A little harder than I thought to get this thing out of here, but we'll get it. I don't know why the thing just shut off, but whatever. So I managed to get the winch to pull the car front end a little bit, frame a little bit without pulling the truck with it. So that's good. You see the other side here. I don't want to line it up perfectly. All we want to do is just line it up such that we can tack it together. Now this side I think is either correct or it's a little bit forward. And that's the same deal. We're going to have to nail it. Wow, that thing still holds there. That tire's been on there, sunk into the ground, a foot into the ground since 1980 something. And it still holds air. That's screwy. The only reason that one doesn't hold air is because there's a little pinhole in the rim. We're going to try to weld that up. Yes, I know you're not supposed to do that. No, I don't really care. Alright, how are we in terms of alignment? Oh, how'd we do on the interior? That didn't mess up the shifty majig any worse than it already was. Whoops, hold on. Well, this thing motorizes me. Whoops, you stay there. You go there. Hopefully not see. Oh good, it popped up too. That's where we want to be. The problem is that cross member fell out. Well, we can put some more tail in there. Let's see, how are we? Which side? Well, there you are. Hey. Yeah, that looks good. Good enough. I ain't going to work on this thing with tension on that winch. Well, I think we're going to have to pull her back just a hair more though. Alright. Now. Okay, here's the transmission cross member. Let's into that. If we pick this up and weld it onto there, that should make her solid-ish. Solid-like. This here, that's junk. Yeah, I pulled the damn drive shaft out of it. Well, I guess that's par for the course. Oh, we got to cut some of this. Well, it's sharp. That's rubber. That's solid enough. Out of spot. So the cross member's in there, it's still attached to everything, but this part's rusted out because it was underground. We're going to fix her up temporarily like. One of these days I'm going to get more cameras at work. Here we are, I think, if you can see me. Can you see me? Yep, good. Oh, my battery's about dead somehow. So you can see the back end of the frame and the front end of the frame. And we're going to join those two pieces. I'll be back. Alright, here we are at the Galaxie again. It's night. I'm about done. And if anybody ever asked you, if anybody ever asked me if I welded this with my eyes closed, I can say yes. I welded that with my eyes closed because I forgot my stupid welding helmet. So I shut my eyes, put my arm in front of my face, and welded it by feel. But it stuck together, so I mean, it's not the worst of things that's ever happened. Alright, well, I bid the 390 farewell for the night, I think, and I'm going to come back yet another day, do the other side, and yank her out of here. Yep, see you later. Well, there she is. Passenger side frame rail is mostly in one piece. I don't think it's in the correct orientation that it's supposed to be in, but it's getting there. Gonna need some washing and some pretty serious work on here, but we can do that. Until tomorrow. Alright, camera went dead. But I got that rim to hold air, or water, whatever the hell's in there. But the problem is now the bead's leaking a little bit, so we gotta throw some of that orange fibrous junk in there and see if that'll get her to hold air long enough to evacuate. Just a text. Find the engine cradle front frame assembly on this side, weld up to it using some of that angle iron, and then start pulling her. We shall see. We'll find out later today on What the Hell Is Wrong With You? Alright, I've got a problem. Since I can't get... Ooh, window works clean. Mini window. Since I can't get the car up high enough safely right now to get into the piece of frame I need to weld onto, my problem actually sort of solved itself in that the piece of frame I need to weld to is right there. So basically I just need to tear the rest of this carpet up, maybe cut a little bit more of the already totally rusted out floor out, and we'll just weld the angle iron in there and just weld her up to the side, and that should be enough for the wrecker to yank her out, hopefully. The transmission cross member is there. It looks like it's up high enough that we can get away with it, I think. I'm pretty sure. Of course, you can probably, well, I don't know if you can see from this angle or not, but the transmission's up off the ground, which is what we want. But the drive shaft fell out because, you know, we pulled the frame in half while trying to extract this thing. Trying to grave rob it. And of course, that's not very good. So I need to get, oh neat. Need to start cutting this floor a little bit, pulling this carpet out here. And I should be able to, it's right there. That spot right there needs to weld onto the frame that's coming up on the side there. Which, you can't see the jack from there because it's too far forward. Actually, no, the jack's right underneath it. Good. Oh yeah, there it is. Right down there. Now you can almost see it. Anyways, right there's the frame I need to weld to, and right there's the frame I need to weld to it. So, I'm going to grab the fire extinguishers, maybe a bucket of water, and let's have at her. Ooh, fancy. Disc brakes. Ooh, shiny. Oh, yes, no sheather. I'm thinking this thing's probably totally locked up. We're probably going to end up putting a Chevy motor in her, 396. Or a Dodge, either way. This would be pretty cool, the 5.7 Hemi. That'd piss off the Ford. I got to put like a Dodge engine and a Chevy transmission or something. I'd piss off the Ford, the Dodge, and the Chevy people. I don't know. Well, back at it. Alright, we got some figuring out now. What the heck was that? Got a little aminal over here. I don't know. Anyways, we got some figuring out done. Oh, look at a nice bright flashlight, eh? Yeah. So that there, in the middle, this here is where I got to weld to. And then I'm going to weld it underneath the frame that goes on the outside. You can see my jack under there. This here, I guess it's part of the transmission cross member or something. But it's framing enough that I can weld into it. And I think it's also part of the engine cradle. There's the transmission. Scooter's transmission. Yeah, flea bag. Look at that. So I'm pretty sure if I good and solidly weld a chunk of angle in there, I should be able to weld her underneath the frame on the outside. And that should get me solid enough to where we can get her on the wrecker. Obviously this thing ain't driving home. But there's a chunk of the fuel line that rotted out. Even the rubber rotted out. Wow. Yeah. Everything rotted. Alright, let's take the grinder to her, see what we can get out of it. Well, I see a bolt through there. That's a good sign. That means it's something probably solid. Okay. Unfortunately, that's been underground for 40 years. Well, we're going to do what we can. Hopefully this cam stays on. Will it? Yeah, it will for now. Alright, let's see what we can zap here. Yeah, that's metal. That's a welder right here. Well, I'm going to have to notch out my angle for that bolt. That's why it's getting screwy. I might have already accidentally notched it. Well, no, probably not. Let's see, what do we got here? We got to go in like this. Oh, on the other side of that, I think. Yeah, there we go. Okay. And that's it. Bang her in there and hope for the best. I could see what I was doing. The camera looks like it's in alright. No, it ain't. Okay, still talking. Still tooting. Good. Tootment engaged. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Too cold for this stuff to work. It's only like 40-some degrees. Well, it gets to be 20-some degrees or 0-some degrees. What are you going to do then? Alright, give me my hickey-jig here. There we go. Alright. That needs to go in under that. Put it back in like that. Let's give this a little whack in here. Actually, see if we can bend it back a little bit. Is there a hole in there that we can bend it in? No. This ain't quite straight. This needs to be straighter so I can weld it. Get the welding done. Wow, I see an actual almost intact piece of exhaust. What's this? Oh, that's that thing. Fuel lines up. Rubber plug. What this is. Yeah. Alright. What's that? Yeah. Alright, get the basher. The basher. Yeah. Ain't a whole hell of a lot of frame left in that frame, is there? Well, that's kind of why we're welding to it, but we might have to do something else. She'll stick. Alright, how's that? That's going to have to be flat enough because I can't hammer no more. I'm too damn sore. This thing's killing me. There we go. Alright. I dig that. Alright, we can burn her on here first. We're going to have to do a little bit more grinding. That's just flatter. Alright, that'll have to do. Whew. Well, guess we gotta pull up here with the welder and get her done. we're going to weld it on the bottom side first, and then we'll go up and weld her inside the car. Hopefully that'll do it. Alright, we got welding lead and ground lead. I'm going to weld a nut onto here so I can clamp my clamp onto it. Alright, great news. The half-ass frame patches were held for now. Should hold long enough for us to get off on the flatbed. And we're out of here. I'm going to have to air that tire up, and that tire up, and that tire up. But the one actually stayed up. That was rather neat. And yeah, I kind of half-assedly welded this, but I mean technically that's a weld. You know, it's two pieces of metal stuck together. Where's it at? I don't know, in there somewhere. Where that piece of angle is. I think that's it. Yeah, there it is. Just a little better, a little more welds on the other side. Tack to what I can tack to, and see it's attached. You can see down in there. I mean, it's kind of rough because I couldn't get in there to get it straightened out enough to make a straight edge to weld to, but I mean, it's on and it's holding. She's sitting there on the springs. That's enough to winch it out. Phew, man. 6 months ago, when I started messing with this thing, I was like, oh yeah, we'll just winch it out. We'll just hook the recovery strap up, just pull her out, that's all. Yeah. About that. I think the frame's still misaligned under the car, but I think the axle's misaligned under the frame. It's got enough clearance that we can roll it. That's all I'm concerned with right now. I mean, whoops. I could just stick her on another frame and put it. This will probably end up being a four-wheel drive, because I found another Chevy four-wheel drive frame for cheap. It's got the axles under it. I'd like to make a 308 or a 273 or less vehicle, just to have a little bit of highway cruising gear. This would be a kind of a cool highway cruising machine if it did that. I get the horseshoe pulled part way back up out of there. I'm probably gonna have to get the whole thing apart to fix it. Yeah, it'd be all right. See the ground under there. Yeah, there should be. Next thing I'm gonna see if I can move this a little bit. I gotta air this other tire up, air this one up some more. Actually, air all four of them up. And then see if I'm gonna run the winch line all the way into the front control arms. Well, control arm, I should say. We're going to pull back on the strongest looking side, which is probably this one. Actually, I could probably... Why don't we use that, the snatch block. I'll hook one side of something up to this, and then the other side up to the back axle, and then we'll just pull both ends equally. Maybe not rip it in half again. Not quite sure what I want to do yet. Now we gotta do something because this thing's gotta move. Yep, I'll figure it out. I'll be back. Herein lies one of the most appropriate circumstances in which to use the fuck word. Those welds that I made last night with my eyes closed, surprise, surprise, didn't hold. The car broke in half again, and now I gotta winch the front back and the back forward again and jack the frame up and weld it back together with my goggles on today, because welding with your eyes closed doesn't do very well apparently for some reason. Hey. Well, back to it. And the old-fashioned non-biodegradable styrofoam container. Alright, we're getting a little farther with the Galaxie. This transmission cross member is kind of going to hang down a little bit, and it's going to go up a little bit when I push it, when I let the back end off the jack, I think. I'm probably going to want to bolt this chunk of frame up to something because it's not really bolted to anything on the car right now, and it needs to be. It'll hold, I think, for now until we get it out of here. But you can see how much of that's gone. It just kind of, it was in contact with the ground for 30 or 40 years and it just went away. That's one of our major malfunctions, and that part is mostly there on the other side. Well, it's got a big chunk out of it on the other side too. It's not as bad. And it's connected to the engine cradle properly. Well, I guess this one is too, isn't it? Huh, I don't know. Well, anyways, the other side wasn't quite as hard to hook up. It's broken slightly differently. You can see the drive shaft come out of the damn thingamajig. I tried to winch the car. I hooked onto the engine cradle up yonder, winched it, and of course, naturally, it's too heavy and it doesn't want to move. It's rooted into the damn ground, and standing on the brakes in the truck, I got this snatch block hooked up to it and everything, and it was just kind of pulling the truck towards the car. Car dolly and everything with the generator on it and all that. Whoops. So, let her down off this jack and see if this frame goes back up into the pocket where it belongs. If it don't, we'll have to do something about it, but that's not too big of a problem. We can move it with that even the way it is. I just jacked this up so I can get my recovery rope out of there. My kinetic rope off the axle that got tied around it accidentally. I'm going to hitch that up to this chain and this shackle and try to pull it out that way, because it was pulling it that way, just it had a problem because when I first pulled it with the kinetic rope, I busted the frame in half, and there actually wasn't any frame there, so it didn't really break in half. It just kind of pulled the two parts apart where they weren't connected anyway. Well, we'll get it. I'm hooked around the engine cradle now. That's the most solid spot on the car. I don't really care if it breaks the oil pan because the oil pan is totally rusted out anyway. I think it's leaked all the oil out because it's rusty. So I think we're going to replace that if we fix this motor. It's a 390, which is kind of cool. But the FE motor. I wonder if I could put LS heads on this thing. That'd be neat. We'll do something. It's an LS FE. FELS. Whatever. Well, there's the update. See you after a bit. Problem in the continuing Galaxie saga. I can't get moving now because the ground has turned into snot because this is freezing rain. So I got this hitched up to a solid point at the front. This is hooked up to the chain that's around the engine cradle. That's the most solid spot on the car. So I'm thinking maybe I'll come back like the next day when it's not raining and freezing at the same time, and I'll give her a hard yank. See, the frame is still staying put underneath the car. Whoops, let me check the other side. That would rather suck if the other side broke again. If it just randomly picks a side to break. Boy, these kinetic ropes, man. Well, it's a kinetic strap, but I call it a kinetic rope. These things, if you don't have one, get one. Also, if you don't have a winch, get a winch too, because those are pretty cool. Like Harbor Freight doesn't sponsor me, but they have some pretty cool stuff nowadays. I think the Yankum ropes are probably better. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that Project Farm did a thing on it, and he found that they are better. But you can see the frame's a little screwball still because the fender's kind of screwy on the front. I think the other side's better. I didn't have a whole lot to weld to on this side, and I was kind of in a hurry. But I did beat the heck out of it with the welder. Oh yeah, this one's the same way, see? So once we get the frame fixed, that gap will disappear at the bottom. It'll be equal gap at the bottom and the top of the fender to the door. We're mainly just hooking it up like this to get it out of here for now. We got to get this thing going. because this ain't a junkyard no more, and ain't zoned as a junkyard no more, and the people who zone things don't like it. So, that being said, let's keep on going. I'm going to go get the truck unstuck. I might have to, I don't know what I'll do. Well, if I have to unhook the trailer, I will, or the dolly, because it's not that hard of a deal. And I can pull this around by hand, which there's two of us here, so it's not quite as big of a pain in the ass to pull. Of course, the generator's getting wet. I got to cover that up. Yeah, well, there's where we're at. I'm going to try to make this one whole video. Just the Galaxie recovery. They seem to like to do that on the other channels, and it seems to be pretty successful, so I'm going to do the same thing. XL. Extra large pain in the ass. Alright. More news as it happens. Alright, we got yet another malfunction. This thing is out in the yard, sort of. And the yard is trying to eat my truck. That's a problem. When the sun hits it, it's okay. I don't have enough chain and cable and rope and everything to get over to this hard spot over here where it's still frozen because it's in the shade of these nice evergreen trees. So, what I'm and I have a cold that's been going around. That's handy. So what I want to do is grab a hold of one of these big old pine trees, winch that backwards, and turn the wheels to the left so it starts heading towards this tree over here. Then, once we get it headed toward this tree over here, pull it all the way as far as we can up this way, and winch it toward that tree over there. To the left of that tree, between the tree and the garage, is freedom. In other words, the spot where we can, that's a hard spot there, and it'll be easier to load. We can actually winch it right into the driveway right from there. That would be good. So here's what happens when you try to pull it from out here. Well, of course, this was in the freezing rain, and the freezing rain is only freezing on the top of the ground, not the bottom of the ground. So it made a little puddle in the bottom. It's still frozen, but as soon as you get the warmth of the truck tires anywhere near it, it turns into grease. And that, as they say, is that. I'm starting to think that this thing is bad luck. Like everything I do to this, it just doesn't work. The good news is the rigging stayed. I pulled it a few more inches back. Oh wow, yeah, I got like probably 4 or 5 inches out of it this time. The frame stayed attached on both sides, so that's good. I like that. I think it did. Did it? Or didn't it? Yes, it did. It stayed attached. That is good. I like it when it stays attached. Apparently my terrible welds were terrible enough to hold it together. Now, I'm missing one of the safety hooks off of my car dolly. I don't know where it went. I might not ever see it again because it's probably going to end up under all this piles of dirt. Maybe we'll go out here next melt with a rolly magnet and get her rolly magneted. Oh yeah, check it out. My buddy that owned this car before me has got that radio sitting on the console there because he didn't want to cut up the dash to put the other radio in there. So he just stuck it in there. Oh yeah, there's my welding majig down there. It's holding. I don't know how good or how long it's going to hold, but it is there. It's present and accounted for. Wow. Yeah, it got warm too fast out here. That was a pain in the ass. Yeah, she's moving. That is good. I like good things. That's progress. Need to get Mayor Goldie Wilson out here. Progress is his middle name. Well, there she sits anyways. Hopefully we'll be getting some more progress as the days progress. See you later. Well, a little bit of good news, a little bit of bad news. Here we are 7 months later by the Galaxie. And I got it to move backwards a little bit using the Dakota, because the D100's got a blowed head gasket right now. I was pulling it by the engine cradle because the back end of the frame's too weak to pull it by. It just keeps pulling it loose. But now, I dropped the side frame rail out of it, which I hadn't fixed yet. I put some patches in there, but not in that particular spot, so I think we're just going to call somebody with a flatbed, and it kind of sucked the spring hanger out of the back of it, because that's rusty too. So I think we're going to flatbed it, because I can't get this thing to move anymore. It just keeps breaking into pieces. I can't get the hood open. I'm pretty sure the engine's seized up anyway, because the brake master cylinder seized up, the gas pedal seized up, hood seized up. Probably groundhog pee and everything. There's a groundhog hole times 4. Jerks. So that's where we're at with this. I think I'm going to just make a whole project out of it. Make one whole solid video out of it. Well, see you later. Well, I got another problem. Well, same problem, just in a different way. I kind of pulled the frame apart in a different. So, we're one. But I've got disposal a towing company who will drive off of the pavement, because, you know, feet from the gravel. I got it to move today. I'm just dragging it across the ground, and, you know, for some stupid reason it just decided to break in half again instead of dragging across the ground this week. Last week I dragged the thing back like a car length and a half, and then dragged it forward some, and now I got her 3 feet, and then the damn thing broke in half again. So we're going to try to get this flatbed out here. See if we can get this thing on the flatbed, and in the meantime, before the flatbed comes, I'm going to chop that 1-ton chassis and take 8 inches out of it to get my 127-inch wheelbase down to my 119-inch wheelbase of the Ford Galaxie. And I'm just going to have the wrecker guys. Everything's probably going to fall out the bottom of the car anyway when they lift it up. Hopefully the body's going to be intact enough to sit down on something. So I'm just going to have them sit it down on top of my 1-ton chassis, and it's got a floor, the old van floor in it, and we'll do that and call it a day. You gotta love buying a car that's got beer cans in the front seat, eh? Well, it's been a year-long project, and it's still a pain in the ass. I wonder if this thing was this much of a pain in the ass. Maybe that's why they parked it in the junkyard. I don't know, but whatever it is. We're gonna sort of patch it up. Probably gonna put some dolly tubs on them back wheels so it fits the dollies on the 1-ton chassis. That'll look kind of neat. I don't think we're gonna be saving this paint, but I mean, technically it's still an entire car. Oh well. Well, I'll see you later. Alright, here we are back up the shop. We got a very good beginning for a wheel dolly here, a recovery dolly. I got the wheel buckets tacked in here. Got some L channel holding that diamond plate in there. Got a bunch of welds here together. That's 1/8 inch by 2 by 2 tubing, square. Got some ugly farmer welds in there, but she holds together. So this should get me far enough down the road where I can at least get the Galaxie off the property where it's sitting and get her to where she needs to be so I can work on it and stick it on the frame, truck frame. That looks a little warm, but she worked. So I'm going to be running wheelbarrow wheels on here for right now, so I ain't going to be able to go real fast down the road or nothing, but yeah, it's a piece of farm equipment, so it'll just go 25 miles an hour or whatever. Got 4 holes in each side for wheelbarrow wheels, and I got some all thread cut 5/8. This Harbor Freight wheelbarrow wheels, I got them on sale when they're $6 a piece. Got 8 of them. That's 2,400 pounds worth of capacity, and I figure with all the rust and everything, the back end of that car should be less than 1,500 pounds, so we should be good. Oh, check it out, it's like Harbor Freight land over here. I got my Harbor Freight magnet sweeper, I got my Harbor Freight ramps, I got my Harbor Freight grinder, got my Harbor Freight welder back there with a little big old supercharger on the back of it. Got my Harbor Freight battery charger. Got Harbor Freight square. Well, it's like a Harbor Freight commercial or something. Hey, you want to advertise? We're using your stuff. Oh yeah. Hey, check about this. Got Harbor Freight engine hoist. Harbor Freight engine stand. Another Harbor Freight engine stand at my other shop. Let's see, what else do we got? That's about all I can show right now. Got my Harbor Freight half-inch 120-volt impact wrench thing. So anyways, we're going to bolt the wheels to the side of this. I'm going to rig some stuff where I can put the straps onto it. Strap the back wheels of the car down onto this. Strap the front wheels down onto the regular dolly that's over yonder in the other building, rusting away to nothing. And hopefully she'll pull. As long as that back axle of that Galaxie can sit straight on this thing, and I've been having trouble with its orientation relative to the car. But if I kind of strap this down to the frame and the axle, I should be able to keep both of those things in line long enough to get her to roll somewhere other than the junkyard, because they're wanting it out of there. And that'll be the deal. I don't know if I'm going to post this up or if I'm going to wait until the whole thing is done. I think I might just wait till the whole thing's done. If I really need to, I can put a regular set of spindles on the sides of this, put some brakes on it, and put a tongue up front. I can turn it into a regular car dolly, the second one. Might put like air ride suspension on there or something, I don't know. But right now it's going to be a recovery dolly. Alright, I'll see you later. Alright, here we are back at the shop. The dolly worked great. The Galaxie made it there. We had the wrecker haul it there. I'm recording this audio later because my phone sucks terribly. And it decided to get jumpy with the audio. So, the Galaxie is at the shop now. It's ready to start getting worked on. It's out of the junkyard, finally, after 40 years. Well, 38 years. It's been there since 1986 about. The dolly worked awesome. I had to pull it for about 75 feet from the resting place to the driveway so that the wreckers could come get it, because none of the wreckers would come get it on the grass. They won't drive off the road. So I had to pull it with my Dakota with a bent frame all the way from there on that dolly, which helped greatly, over to the driveway. And the front two wheels got locked up. One of them freed up. Of course, it was the one that wouldn't hold air. So I just kind of yanked it with my Harbor Freight kinetic rope, which is Badlands kinetic rope, which is awesome. It worked fine. And so here we are at the shop. Here she sits, and I'm going to go to the Y-I-Know, grab my RV frame, or I should say my Dodge B300 one-ton 1973 van chassis, because it's unibody in the back. And I'm going to start sticking that Galaxie on top of that Dodge unibody thingy. Yes, Dodge motorhomes made from van chassis are unibody. All of them. Check my other video. I'll show you. But there's the Galaxie. It's got all kinds of cool stuff. It's got a horseshoe shifter. The seats are fairly good. Got 96,000 miles on it. The door goes clunk when you shut it. It's not rotted out like everything else is. I like it. I'm going to keep on going with it. Well, there she be. I'll see you later.